So the Chiefs are not messing around as they eye a chance at a three-peat because immediately after beating the Raiders again in Vegas, they made a trade for a pass rusher that's going to make their defense even more dangerous. And in this video, I'll break down this win over the Raiders, cover the positives, the negatives, the injuries, as well as this awesome new addition to the roster. But first, how about those? All right, what a game this was. What a W at Arrowhead West that was half filled with Chiefs fans, home of the Chiefs, ringing extra loud prior to kickoff. Speaking of which, the Raiders won the toss and deferred, and with the Chiefs offense taking the field, all eyes were on DeAndre Hopkins and how he would look with only 2 days of practice under his belt. Well, he was targeted here on the Chiefs' first third down of the day, securing a 13-yard catch on 3rd and 7. He'd only catch one more pass on the day, but it was a pivotal one. More on that in a moment because Travis Kelce caught the very next play for 25 yards. The next third down was this nicely lofted ball to Pirine to set Casey up inside the 5. Then back-to-back Kareem Hunt runs finished the job. Touchdown, Kansas City. Hunt has been one of the most important signings for the team, and it's really not close, giving them a major boost in the red zone, which over the last 2 games has been excelente. Anyway, after this opening score, the Raiders came out with a pretty good opening script themselves, getting Jakobi Meyers and Brock Bowers involved early, with Trey Tucker taking advantage of the team focused on players like Bowers here on this play. Bowers did help them convert multiple first downs, and Jakobi Meyers caught this contested pass for the score. Justin Reed was tight in coverage, but with pressure coming, Minshew threw a pretty damn good ball here to tie the game at 7 apiece. And with that opening score for the Raiders, the Chiefs' defense has now allowed some points to be scored on opponents' opening drive in 5 of 7 games. It's nothing too concerning, with most of these coming from the scripted 15. Spags often makes solid adjustments and does much better with his unit, big pause, as time goes on. But it is something worth noting. Then the very next play, Mahomes targeted Worthy, who was unable to haul it in. And I won't lie, Worthy did struggle a bit in this game. Honestly, I think part of the issue here is he's just not ready for the volume of targets that he's been getting. Part of that is simply due to the wide receiver room being riddled with injuries and the Chiefs needing him more now than they probably anticipated. But I do think the D-Hop addition, as well as Juju's return here soon once his hamstring heals up, is going to help greatly with this. And while Justin Watson helped move the chains after the Worthy drop, Mahomes overthrew D-Hop, and then Wanye Morris not only gave up the sack, but got flagged for illegal hands to the face that was declined, because it didn't matter, it was a sack. And the result was the first and only Matt Araiza punt of the first half. Brock Bowers then made an absolutely incredible catch here, one-on-one against Trent McDuffie. There's not much more McDuffie could have done there either. Chanel and Tranquil then sacked Minshew, and after a short run, Brock Bowers once again made a play on 3rd and 9 to move the chains. On this play, Najee Johnson made the tackle on Bowers, but ended up leaving the game, being evaluated for a concussion, never to return. He did say he was good, but it was an unfortunate injury that left the cornerback room even more thin as Jakobi Meyers weaved his way down the left sideline for 17 yards as Vegas began marching further down the field. Thankfully, the Chiefs' defense held strong after this, with George Karlaftis, the former water polo champion, swatting the pass down, which set Vegas up for a 54-yard field goal. That was made. A great kick by Carlson to go up 10-7, Chiefs trailing by 3. The next drive is kind of a textbook example of the Chiefs' offense this season. A very long 13-play drive that took over 8 minutes off the clock. The longest play of this drive went for 11 yards on a pitch to Kelce after Worthy helped convert a 3rd and 2. Sure, the Chiefs lack explosive plays, one of the lowest rates of explosive plays in the entire NFL. Yet in spite of that, they have one of the highest offensive success rates, if not the highest in the league. Everybody seemed to get involved on this drive too. Noah Gray, Carson Steele, and Gray again as Mahomes made some magic happen on 3rd and 6. An incredible play there by QB1. Then on 3rd and goal, Travis Kelce caught his first TD in 13 regular season games. A guy that the masses called old and washed up to start the season, by the way. And this is the same guy who is averaging 7.5 catches for 66.5 yards since week 4 when Rice went down due to injury. That average, if carried out through season's end, would put Kelce once again right around the 1,000-yard mark. So he is still him. That score put the Chiefs up 14-10 with just under 2 minutes to go in the half. Well, thanks to Chris Jones blowing this play all the way up, FAU making an incredible tackle on second down, and Trent McDuffie chasing Minshew down like a cheetah hunting its prey on third down, the Chiefs got the ball back with a minute to go in the second and one timeout. On 3rd and 5, Mahomes connected with Perine to move the chains, and Kelce used their last timeout. Perine got involved on the next play via a Kelce lateral in which Perine fumbled but was able to pick it up, and that fumble actually helped him get extra yards and out of bounds, believe it or not. Mahomes then banged up his ankle a little bit after getting tackled, I think on the very next play or close to it. He did finish the game fine with no real concern about him moving forward, thank God, but he was a bit gimpy for a little bit until the second half. Again, seemed just fine in the second half when he used his legs on multiple plays that we'll talk about here in a bit. But as the half neared its end, Mahomes hit Worthy here, who did make a nice catch on this one, and after a spike to stop the clock, Mahomes connected beautifully with DeAndre Hopkins for 16 yards, that not only set up a 42-yard field goal from Harrison Butker to go up 17-10 at the half, but that connect with D-Hop officially put Mahomes over 30,000 career passing yards. He accomplished this in 103 games, which passed up Matt Stafford, who previously held this record, doing this in 109 games. And before we get into the rest of this video, in honor of the Chiefs beating the Raiders, getting it handled. As Mahomes said after the Kermit thing, it'll get handled when it gets handled. Well, they handled it. So we got some new merch with handled on the t-shirt, and then we've got a bunch of other shirt designs as well. It's a way to support the channel and rock some fresh gear for yourself. The second half of this game started out with back-to-back 3-and-outs, one from both teams. The last punts of the game, I might add, the Chiefs' run defense stonewalled Vegas, and miscommunication set up their punt. A very nice McCole Hardman return was called back due to an illegal block in the back on rookie safety Jaden Hicks. This backed the Chiefs up to the 9. Kelce dropped a typical Kelce catch, and Xavier Worthy couldn't hold on to this 50-50 ball on third down. It's not really a Worthy skill set, but it is a play you would like to see him come down with. However, look at DeAndre Hopkins on this route at the bottom of the screen. Same play that Mahomes targeted Worthy on. He shook this man out of his soul and was wide open. This is something Mahomes will see on film and remember, probably keeping a mental note that if Kelce and D-Hop are both out on the field, to look for one of them because one of them is more than likely open. And I say that to say it's definitely worth noting that although D-Hop was only targeted 3 times, he was definitely open more times than that, including on the Kelce touchdown that we'll talk about here in a second. But that set up the Chiefs' last punt of the day, the incompletion on third down, and it was not a great rep here by special teams. Joshua Williams got flagged for unnecessary roughness and gave the Raiders 15 additional yards. Now, the returner definitely sold this a bit, but he was so far out of bounds at that point, there was no real need for Williams to try anything at all here. But that gave the Raiders the ball at the Chiefs' 28-yard line, and guess what? The defense played out of their minds on this drive. That drive went 10 plays, but only a total of 14 yards. A Joshua Williams hold on third down turned what would have been a 4th and 4 into a first. Then on the next third down, Vegas needed 9, and Jacoby Myers helped them get 11. This is where the defense held, stonewalling them on first down. Justin Reed obliterated Madison on second down, and George Karlaftis beat a double team on third down to make an incredible stop. This set up a Raiders field goal, and this is where things began to get a bit dicey. Another illegal block in the back on Jaden Hicks backed this already not great kick return up half the distance to the goal. Wanye Morris then got flagged for back-to-back holds as he struggled mightily on this series. That made it 1st and 16 for KC at the 1.5-yard line. So, facing all that pressure, Mahomes threw a pass intended for Kelce deep downfield, and it got batted at the line, or tipped rather, causing it to fall way short, and it ended up getting intercepted. This was Mahomes' 9th INT of the season, and Joe Thuney thankfully saved a pick 6 and ultimately helped save a touchdown because the Raiders had the ball at the 3-yard line, down by 4, with a chance to get the lead with a touchdown here. And the crowd was going crazy. Momentum seemed to be on the Raiders' side. The problem was the Chiefs' run defense still existed. 2 straight runs had them very close to the end zone, but Drew Tranquill helped save a score. Then on third down, Tranquill, among others, tackled them for a loss. Then on 4th and goal, the Raiders opted to go for it, and Karlaftis and Wharton made them pay, forcing a turnover on downs. And it was at this very moment I lost my mind on stream when calling the game. And Minshew wants to run, and he is sacked! Oh my God! Let's go! Suck it, Raiders! Suck it, Raiders indeed. And that gave KC the ball back, still up by 7. And what did they do? Lead a long, very long 19-play drive that featured Mahomes using his legs to move the chains on 3rd and 1. Noah Gray caught this pass intended for Worthy, coming up clutch once again. What a grab by Gray. Kareem Hunt had a hard-fought first down run. The next play, though, Wanya Morris got his 4th flag, 3rd accepted flag of the day, which was also his 3rd hold to back them up another 10. Then on 3rd and 12, Patrick Mahomes used his legs once again as Pat Vick stepped up into the pocket and scrambled left to get 14 yards when he needed 12. The next 3rd down, Mahomes hit Kelce in the middle of the field with tight end 1 getting it to the 20. The threat of Mahomes scrambling did help get Kelce even more open. Justin Watson caught this pass here on a Mahomes rollout. Then a roughing the passer penalty moved the Chiefs up to the 7-yard line. This time, though, the Chiefs were stopped in the red zone after Worthy couldn't hang on to this pass. He was tackled short of the goal line anyway, but I think if the Chiefs really wanted, they coulda, shoulda challenged that because it looked to me like a fumble. He caught the ball, took a couple steps, and it looked like a fumble that was out of bounds at the 1. From there, all you do is bring Carson Wentz in for the QB sneak and the Chiefs touchdown to go up 11. One can dream, at least. Instead, they kicked a field goal on 4th down to go up 7 with 8 minutes and 44 seconds left in the 4th quarter. That drive again went 19 plays and took almost 10 minutes off the clock. So with the Raiders trailing by 7, they lead a comeback drive to tie it up, right? Wrong. Instead, Gardner Minshew fumbled on the 2nd play thanks to Mike Pennell making an incredible play on the ball when Minshew tried to scramble up into the pocket. And also, this play was thanks in part to Drew Tranquill for scooping that ball up to recover the fumble. This, of course, was another boost given to the Chiefs offense via a fumble-rooski, another momentum shifter by the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs used Kareem Hunt on 3 straight runs then to move the chains. Justin Watson picked up a nice 8. Then on 3rd and 2, who else but Travis Kelce helped catch this rollout pass from Mahomes for 11 yards. Kelce also made sure to jaw a little, letting Jack Jones know what's good after that one too. This helped set up a redemption catch from Xavier Worthy a couple plays later, a touchdown pass on a somewhat similar route that didn't work out last time near the goal line, and this time, it was a touchdown. Justin Watson had a nice little rub route to help Worthy get open and put the Chiefs up 14 points with just 5 minutes to go in this game, and the Raiders completely out of timeouts. This drive featured 3 Chiefs players, well, at least I thought it was 3 Chiefs players on various plays getting shaken up. Chris Jones appeared slow to get up on one play, but he might have just been fixing something. Nothing really was noted post-game, and he played the very next snap, so I think it was a little bit of a false alarm from me there. Nick Bolton had to leave the field for a few plays after taking a heel to the rib/chest area, and then Drew Tranquill was even shaken up a bit as well. This was all kind of in garbage time too, which you hate to see, as the defense played prevent up by 2 touchdowns. Andy Reid, though, didn't make it seem like any of these guys were seriously injured, aside from one player, which is good news. We'll get to that guy in a second, because the Raiders, while they did manage to go 70 yards in 3 minutes, scoring a solid touchdown here, as Minshew was facing pressure and Roland Wallace was in coverage, they still needed to recover an onside kick. We'll get to that in just a second here, but I will say that drive was a little concerning to me, that the Raiders seemed so easily able to move down the field. 70 yards, no timeouts, 3 minutes is all it took, and they converted a 4th and 1, a 3rd and 1, and that touchdown pass was actually completed on 3rd and 10. I know the Chiefs were playing prevent, but it was still kind of stressful. So with 2 minutes left, down by 7, the Raiders needed to recover an onside kick, and honestly, it almost looked like they were going to get it as tight end Jody Fortson jumped up to grab the ball. Did not come down with it, but thankfully, Noah Gray did, jumping on the ball and securing it, saving a turnover or the Raiders from recovering, thank God. Sadly, though, Jody Fortson seems to have seriously injured his knee on this play. He needed assistance from 2 trainers to get off the field, not appearing to be able to put any weight on it, was seen on crutches after the game, and then today got placed on injured reserve to make room for a player the Chiefs traded for. More on that in a bit, but this was tough to see with Fortson because he's dealt with multiple injuries in his career, with this one being yet another potential season-ending injury after just signing with the Chiefs back on October 4th. At least that's when they signed him from the practice squad to the 53-man roster. So while that was a tough thing to watch, it was nice to see the Chiefs be able to line up in victory formation on offense after the onside kick and kneel the game out. Mahomes is still undefeated in Vegas. The Chiefs are now 7-0, and there was a lot of positives as well as some negatives to take away from this game, which I want to talk about real quick before getting into the trade that the Chiefs made today. All in all, it was a pretty good game for the Chiefs. Travis Kelce had a monster day, catching 10 passes for 90 yards and a touchdown. Worthy was a bit up and down, but he did have 4 for 37 and a score as well, with a plethora of others catching passes, including a couple solid ones by both Noah Gray and DeAndre Hopkins. P. Ryan has proven to be a safety valve for Mahomes on checkdowns as well, which you really do love to see with Jerick McKinnon no longer in the picture. Mahomes himself had one of his best games this season, in my opinion, making things happen with his legs or in typical Mahomes-like creative fashion in the passing game due to the Chiefs' run game struggling a bit more in this one. Kareem Hunt had 21 carries for 59 yards, which is just an average of 2.8 yards per carry. For example, he averaged 3.5 against the Niners and then 2 games ago, 3.8 against the Saints. So the Raiders definitely did a better job than several other teams have against the Chiefs' run game. That's okay, though, because Mahomes was 27 of 38 for 262 yards and 2 scores, plus that one INT. Yes, I know he threw another one, but what can you really do? It was tipped up at the line. It is what it is. I still think he had a great game, all things considered, especially on need-to-have-it plays. Red zone, third downs, when you really need it. Mahomes definitely delivered. 2 standouts for me for the offense was the fact that they were 12 for 16 on third downs. That means they converted on third down 75% of the time. Then they did the exact same thing in the red zone, converting 75% of the time. 3 out of 4 trips down there. Over the last 2 weeks, the red zone woes seem to have diminished almost entirely. At one point in the season, the Chiefs were 29th in the NFL in touchdown percentage inside the 20, but over the last 2 weeks, they've scored a touchdown 78% of the time, going 7 for 9, which is absolutely incredible. 5 of those 7 touchdowns, by the way, have been on the ground. So keep feeding Kareem, please and thank you. That's helped the Chiefs average 27 points a game, by the way, over the last 3 games. And when the defense is averaging 17.6 points allowed through the season, that is a recipe for great success for sure. And before I get to the defense, one concern for me on the offense still remains that left tackle spot. Wanye struggled in this one, giving up 4 pressures, a sack, only 1 because Mahomes is a literal magician at avoiding sacks and did this several times in that Raiders game. And then he was flagged, talking about Wanye Morris, 4 times. 1 was declined, so only 3 actually show up, but 4 flags were drawn on Wanye Morris. He also had the worst pass blocking grade on the entire roster, and the left tackle spot remains a big ol' question mark to me at the moment, at least from a long-term perspective. Some are still Team Kingsley Suamataia, hey, he's the guy, but the Chiefs have benched him, and right now, Wanye seems to be the guy. Now, while the left side still remains a concern, the right side does not, as long as Jawaan Taylor is not getting flagged. He's playing really great football. Case in point, he didn't allow Max Crosby to record a single pressure on 28 pass blocking matchups, and 25 of those were one-on-one matchups. The last time Crosby was held without a pressure was Week 9 of the 2022 season, so absolutely incredible work there from Jawaan Taylor. And I believe this is his 2nd game now without a flag, so keep it up. Then on defense, let's talk about it. These guys are absolutely unreal week in and week out. I know this was the Raiders. They aren't a high-powered anything, really, on offense right now, but it's a divisional game against a team who despises the Chiefs and was the team to last beat the Chiefs. Therefore, they were going to give them all they got, and they didn't have enough to give, at least in the run game especially. This is actually hilarious. On the day, the Chiefs' defense allowed 1.6 yards per carry on 21 attempts, but to running backs alone, so removing Minshew, scrambles, and sweeps to receivers, the Chiefs allowed 0.86 yards per carry, which is insane. Something else that's pretty great is the fact that Minshew was sacked 5 times, with one of those being a strip sack made by Pennell, and the fumble was recovered by Drew Tranquill. The Chiefs' D held Vegas to just 2 of 4 in the red zone, with 2 absolutely wild stops inside the 10 on short field, backed up against the wall, and then on third down, the Raiders were just 6 of 13 and 1 for 2 on 4th down, and I believe a couple of those 6 third down conversions, as well as the 1 4th down conversion that was completed, was done on the last drive, basically in garbage time. So yeah, it's safe to say the Chiefs defense held it down, once again. Then for special teams, Butker was perfect on the day. Ariza had a couple solid punts, but they really got to clean up the flags, at least on kickoffs and punts, because there were some pretty costly penalties in this one on special teams. And for the Chiefs getting all the calls and owning the refs, what everybody whines, moans, and cries about every single day, they got flagged 8 times for 55 yards compared to the Raiders 5 for 32. But hey, keep the tears flowing, you little babies, because they keep us all hydrated. Now, if I had game balls to give, I'm going to give one to either Mahomes or Kelce on offense, maybe even Jawaan Taylor against Max Crosby. Why not? Drew Tranquil is probably going to be the guy on defense. He recovered that fumble, had a sack as well as 3 tackles for loss, and then Harrison Butker on special teams, putting up all the points that he did. Now, with that victory, the Chiefs face the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football next in a game that is definitely winnable. But before we get too far ahead, I do want to mention that the Chiefs made a trade today. It was announced earlier that the Chiefs traded for Joshua Uche, rhymes with Bobby Boucher, from the Patriots in exchange for a 2026 6th-round pick. That's basically nothing for a solid pass rusher that's going to cost the team under $1.5 million when Jawaan Taylor was restructured to create additional cap space after the Chiefs traded for D-Hop. It actually gave the team $6 million in cap space compared to $4 million they had before the D-Hop trade, which led some to believe the Chiefs weren't done making moves. And honestly, they still might not be done. A cornerback could potentially be sought given the injuries to the room, but that, of course, still remains to be seen and is probably a conversation for a later time. But what Brett Veach did do was add a guy who was a former 2nd-round pick in the 2020 NFL Draft that has a 17.5 win percentage since 2022. That is 5th best in the NFL. You get him for a 2026 6th-round pick. He's under $1.5 million. I mean, absolutely a steal, and he's still playing well this season. He has a 17.2% pressure rate, and that's 2nd along the Chiefs' entire D-line, if you add him in there, only behind Chris Jones, who has a win percentage of 18.5. Then Turk Wharton is going to come in 3rd. That's pretty good. He's also only 26 years old, and a guy who won't play too much against the run. That's not really his skill set, but hey, it's going to allow FAU to maybe kick inside a bit more, which he's been doing well, at least as of late. And then the trade also is going to help out the secondary that is weak at corner, because if you can get home to the passer or at least pressure them enough to throw off timing, have them stressed out back there, etc., that's as effective as a lockdown corner. It's also easier to bring in a defensive lineman and bring him up to speed quickly, at least in comparison to a corner. And so we should see Joshua Uche most likely as early as this next game on Monday Night Football. You combine him with George Karlaftis and Chris Jones rushing the passer, plus whoever else Spag sends on a blitz. That's going to be a big old W from a pass rush standpoint. This also could mean Mike Dana's pec injury is going to take some time to heal, but should help the Chiefs in the meantime until the return of Charles Omenihu, who should be back at some point before the end of the season for the playoff push. And when you trade for somebody, you've got to add them to the active roster. And so what the Chiefs did do today is they placed tight end Jody Fortson on injured reserve, and I would assume he's out for the season, but we will see. It's just another unfortunate injury for Jody Fortson, who has struggled to stay healthy pretty much off and on throughout his entire career. So Brett Veach is not playing around, trading for D-Hop, trading for Joshua Uche. You guys got to let me know your thoughts on the moves Brett Veach has been making, specifically the one he traded for today. Do you see it as a great move considering he was practically free, a 2026 6th-round pick, and less than $1.5 million? Well, if you don't like the trade, let me know why. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?